What's happening, guys? Jordan Schumacher here. In this video, I'm going to talk about why every freelancer, consultant, agency owner, coach, whatever you call yourself, why every single one of you should be creating and selling some sort of productized service, whether you call that a course, a group coaching, group consulting model, some sort of time leveraged, productized service. And so if you are a freelancer, if you're a consultant, if you run a small agency, if you're someone who makes your money by providing services based on the expertise that you have in your heads, and you're not also selling some sort of productized time leverage product, in other words, if you haven't taken that knowledge, expertise, that skill set in your head and actually turned it into some sort of digital product, you're leaving a massive amount of upside, money, and ultimately opportunity on the table by failing to do that. And there's really four primary reasons why. I think it's four. We'll see if we can get to number four. So I was watching this interview by Joe Rogan and Naval Ravikant, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Highly recommend you go look it up after you watch this video and subscribe to the channel, of course. Highly recommend you go check that out, though. And essentially, Naval is a tech investor, successful tech entrepreneur, and he just has a really unique way of looking at whether it's an individual or a company, how do they actually scale? How do they actually add more value to the marketplace, scale and grow revenue, and grow income, and grow profitability? And essentially, he breaks it down into three ways. So you can develop a competitive advantage. You can scale your efforts based on your intellectual property, your IP, based on human capital. So basically hiring people to do the work and essentially paying them less than the revenue that they generate. That's the agency business model. That's many, if not most, businesses. And then finally, there's code. So automating, using computer efforts to automate services away. And so as a freelancer, as a consultant, as kind of a one man or one woman army, it doesn't matter how good you get. It doesn't matter how long of a backlog of clients that you have. And it really doesn't matter how much you're able to get away with charging for your services, whatever it is, whether it's graphic design, could be marketing, could be copywriting, could be writing blog posts, could be web development, right? It doesn't really matter what your service is. At a certain point, you're not going to be able to get away with charging anymore. At a certain point, you're just not going to be able to get away with charging, $30,000 an hour, right? Which means even if you can get up to justify the, $500,000 an hour mark, which is really going to be the top 1% of the top 1% of your industry, at a certain point, you're not going to be able to scale that, and you're not going to be able to earn revenue without actually putting in the hours, which at a certain point is going to become less attractive unless you actually figure out a way to productize your service in one of the three ways that Naval mentions, which again is IP, intellectual property, human capital, or code. If you're a service provider and you can code whatever service it is that you're providing, then you're in trouble, and you should figure out a way to own that code now, because you're going to be automated away in little to no time. So as a service provider, typically it's more on the creative side of things, whether it's writing, whether it's actually developing, whether it's design. It's right now, we're a ways away before that's going to be able to be 100% replaced by code. So code is out in terms of scaling, which leaves you with two options. Option one is IP, and option two is human capital. Human capital is a perfectly viable approach. That's how most agencies operate, where essentially you as a freelancer, as a solo operator, start to get more and more clients, charge more and more revenue. You're looking to scale. You can't take on more clients, so you hire people to do your work for you, and then you transition from more of a in the weeds technical operator to a manager, agency owner focused on client acquisition, and then managing your team, which actually fulfills on the promises that you make. Now, the problem that a lot of small solo operators run into as they try and scale and actually start building out a team is, one, they just don't enjoy it, right? If you love what you do and you really love just creating whatever your craft is, if you love executing on your craft, then there's a decent chance you're not going to enjoy becoming more of a manager, project manager, client acquisition specialist, and actually spend less time, if any time, on your actual craft if that's something that you love doing. So scaling out a team for various reasons can be less than attractive for many people, many entrepreneurs starting as solo operators, which really leaves IP, intellectual property, which is taking the skills you have, taking the expertise you have, packaging it up in some form of vehicle that scales, that's not tied directly to the investment of time that you put into it, and that you're able to sell in an evergreen or at least a scalable manner. And really the best way for anyone who is selling the products, services, or expertise, the best way for anyone to do that is through some sort of online course. And so not only is selling that online course really the only way that you're able to productize yourself and scale past a certain point, but as a freelancer, it allows you to use yourself as your own best case study. And so I know a lot of challenges that some professions have is the inability to be able to like point to a certain client project or whatever and say, I did that. By creating your own product, it allows you to run your own experiments on yourself, and it just creates a lot of validity, and you can be 100% transparent with that product that you create, and you can be 100% transparent with how you impacted the growth there. And so whether you are a blog writer, right, you can write a blog that drives traffic to purchasing this product. If you're a paid traffic marketer, you can obviously run ads to it, right? And all of a sudden you can be your own case study. You can really control and impact that perception, and you can use yourself as your own best case study. But really, in my opinion, one of the most underrated advantages to creating some sort of product around your expertise. Again, I'm recommending a course, but it could be a book, could be any number of things, right? One of the most underrated advantages to that, though, is that a course, a product, a digital product like this has what's called mass market appeal, which means it appeals to a very large number of people. And so if we take a look, let's just imagine that we are let's say we're a paid traffic freelancer, right? Or a copywriter. If this is the total market of everyone interested in copywriting info, there's probably this little sliver of people right here who are actually interested in done-for-you services, right? So that's what you're currently selling as a copywriter, right? Is you're selling your done-for-you services. I'm assuming you're not pricing yourself super low, so there's probably, certainly less than 10,000 businesses who would actually be wanting to pay your rate and hire you as a done-for-you copywriter. On the flip side, in terms of all of the people who are interested in copywriting info and just getting better at copy in general, there's probably, 10 million of those people. And of those people, there's probably a solid number, maybe a million or more, and this is not to scale, but there's probably a million or more who would be willing to pay for some form of content, some form of product around copywriting and how to improve their copywriting without actually paying for done-for-you services. And so it's what's called a mass market offer, which allows you then to actually profitably advertise on places like Facebook, YouTube, AdWords, etc. It allows you to profitably advertise this product to the market at large, which means you spend $100 today and you make at least $100 back within 30 days. And what this allows you to do is, let's just say it's break even. Let's say your advertising is not making you a penny, and so you spend $1,000. I'm just using really simple math here for the sake of illustration. You spend $1,000, you get 1,000 leads, and let's say it's a $100 program, so 10 of those people end up buying your program, right? So you broke even. But now what you also have is you have 1,000 leads that you've just drawn into your business. And even if just 0.01% of those people are actually done for you customers, that allows you to scale your business in a massive way. It allows you to create a backlog of clients who want to work with you. And let's say the average done for you customer is worth $10,000 to you. Well, all of a sudden now, for every $1,000 you spend on Facebook ads, for example, now you're making $10,000 in done-for-you services, which means you can scale this pretty much to the moon and you can book yourself solid for as much as you want. And that's assuming you're not making any money on the front end, which is a pretty conservative assumption. Assuming you know what you're doing and you have your funnels dialed, you should be able to see anywhere from a 200 to 600% ROI on your paid traffic, selling some sort of productized program, digital product like this to cold traffic, really without breaking much of a sweat. I've got a bunch of videos on how to do that. I've got a whole program around Facebook ads. You can go to jordanschumacher.com/enroll. It's free. You can sign up for that if you want more details. But really, this is, in my opinion, this is one of the most underrated reasons why anyone who's selling a knowledge, expertise, something that's up in their heads, really this is the reason why every single person, in my opinion, should be selling some sort of digital product like a course or a book or something similar, because it allows you to then have your own product, which allows you to scale revenue in a way that is not dependent upon your time and the hours that you actually are putting in. And lastly, number 4, I promised you 4 reasons. The last reason that you want this is it gives you something to anchor your price against, and it actually allows you to increase your rates if you're, an hourly freelancer or a per project consultant. This actually gives you something tangible to anchor your price against, and it actually allows you to increase your rate. So let's say you have a program and you're selling it for $2,000, right? Well, now all of a sudden that makes it very easy for you as a consultant to justify coming in a done-for-you service and saying, hey, I've got this program here that sells for $2,000. If you want me to actually work with you one-on-one and take my time, well, now all of a sudden I'm going to charge you $10,000. And because you have that as an anchor, it just makes it a much more compelling value prop, and it just increases the perceived value of your actual time, of your expertise, and of your attention. And so I'm going to drop in the description beneath this video some additional resources around this. This is a topic that I feel very passionately about, and I would love to hear if you're a freelancer, consultant, agency owner, coach. I would love to hear if you have a productized service, if you're considering creating one, and if you are, like, what's it going to be about, and why haven't you done it yet, or how's it gone for you if you have. Just drop a comment below. I try to respond to 100% of them. And as always, if you got value out of this video, it would mean the world to me if you clicked subscribe. Again, drop a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.